Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Celtics Talk Radio video chat. We are using a completely different system this time, which is why you see the chat looking a little bit different than what you've been accustomed to seeing over the last few years. We are now using
And better.
the Zoom video chats in this case. An idea from one of my friends. But we're here today to recap game two of the first round Eastern Conference playoff matchup between our three-seeded Boston Celtics and the six-seeded Philadelphia 76ers. We are 2.5 hours away from game three taking place. In this case, the Celtics will look to go up
Mhm.
3 games to none. Game two, however, Igor was I would say shocking in this case, as the Celtics blew out the 76ers 128 to 101.
Embarrassment for the Sixers.
Yeah,
Total embarrassment. If I
exactly.
am the Sixers fan, Daniel, I would not go out from my house like a couple of days. For
Yeah,
real.
yeah. Well, I think two photos basically kind of, emphasize what that game was like. Us seeing Joel Embiid on the bench where he ended the game
Yes.
with his hands over his face and his face basically pointed downward to the
Yep.
floor. You can see he was completely distraught over what had just transpired in this case, as of course the 76ers wasted a really great performance on his behalf in game two. And then, of course, the NBA now has virtual fans watching through the screens. And we saw a Philadelphia 76ers fan literally fall asleep in the middle of the game, putting, I guess you could say, some eye covering over their eyes, basically to say, I don't want to watch
Yep.
this anymore, but they forgot to turn off their computer. So I think
That
those
is
two,
the good idea, for the Sixers fans. If they go out on the street after the Celtics, clean sweep the Philadelphia 76ers, they can use the masks, their friends not to recognize them, or they can go some kind of bags over the faces just with the holes for the eyes. So that is the idea for the Sixers fans, Daniel.
yeah. So of course we had a really great performance again by Jason Tatum in this game. Tatum now has been incredible through the first 2 games of this series. Of course we had Kemba Walker and Brown doing their thing, and I think the biggest story to come out of game two, Igor, was the performance of the Boston bench. How they really stepped it up after having a pathetic performance in game one. Of course, the Celtics did not have Gordon Hayward in this game, and they won't have Gordon Hayward for the rest of this series, and of course, round two. So we will be discussing game two and looking towards game three again, which is just about 2.5 hours from now. But before we go to that, ladies and gentlemen, we want to discuss what happened last night in this case that impacted the Boston Celtics, which was the NBA draft lottery. So, of course, the
Yes.
Celtics and their fans were all keeping an eye on this as the Celtics had a chance to potentially get another first round draft pick, courtesy of the Memphis Grizzlies, depending on where the Grizzlies pick would fall, or the pick could have easily ended up going to next season in this case, depending again how things fell, how the ping pong balls basically fell in this case. So, Igor, I'm going to be giving it to you as you have the results for the NBA draft lottery. You can announce to everybody now what picks we have in this year's NBA draft and the news that just came out prior to us coming in regards to the potential of there being no draft at all this summer.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Daniel. Before going to that route, just to say something fresh, just finished. Toronto Raptors 117, Brooklyn Nets 92. Toronto Raptors comfortably defeat Brooklyn Nets without, of course, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. The next year, um, and I think that even Jordan is out. Yes, without Jordan. So next year the Nets will be different, but our potential surround opponents and future, I would say, second opponents, because they are literally 3-0. Toronto Raptors are comfortably winning with 50% of their strength. Um, And I will say Pascal Siakam had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Van Vliet, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Laurie, double-double, almost triple-double, 11 and 7 from the bench. They played, Daniel, believe it or not, 2, 4, 6, 8. They played 13 players. 13 players played, but the short bench consisting of 4 players, Terence Davis, Hugh Thomas, Norman Powell, Serge Ibaka. Patrick McCaw is not playing, and Norman Powell had 11 points. Serge Ibaka was monster, 20-13. We will have troubles against them, 9 and 2. I'm mentioning Toronto, and we'll talk about Toronto maybe in the second part. This is just result. So Toronto is 3-0. Siakam 26 points. So the bad news is that Pascal Siakam woke up because I think for 28 and 5 performance without Pascal Siakam playing like the last year, Toronto has no chance against Boston, you know. But if Pascal Siakam is at the all-star level, at all-NBA level, then I think that Toronto will defeat Boston, despite Boston being outstanding. I think that Toronto is deep, like I said, well coached. And by the way, I have my friend telling me, journalist that I'm not going to mention who is he, you know, that we are good against Toronto and Jason Tatum is the best player on the series and we will be okay without Gordon Hayward. I'm not sure in that. You know, I think that odds are 50-50%. Maybe even Toronto will be favorites at the Vegas. We'll see without Gordon Hayward. Maybe not. About best player at the series, Tatum should be there, but we will see is Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam, do they agree with that comments from the Celtic fans that Tatum is the best player on the series? In another word, if we defeat Toronto at all, it will be like 6 or 7 games. It will be a dogfight. And I will tell you this way, if you're measuring Toronto from the performance in the game that we blew them out when they surrendered in the second period, or if you measure the series against Toronto with the series against Philadelphia, Philadelphia is horrible, embarrassing. If you think that it will be the walk in the park against Toronto, who is better than us this year overall, I think that you're not normal. That's all I'm going to say. Now, returning to the draft lottery that you mentioned, the Celtics are having picks number 40, 26, 30th in the round 1 and number 47 in the round 2. Now that the Boston Celtics know that they own number 14, 26, 30, and 47 pick in the 2020 draft, the people might be wondering who they might be winding up or pick. Now, here is some possibilities. Number 14 pick via Memphis Grizzlies. Boston, I mean, just to say we were not lucky, Daniel, because, you know, we could get unprotected pick the next year. And this draft lottery, according to the experts, sucks. Kevin O'Connor said that it is a rated draft, but overall it sucks. You can maybe pick top 12 players that will be all-star players or something like that, but from lower positions than 12, experts are saying that it is hard to draft the player that is impactful. Who knows? Maybe you can dig out some franchise player from position number 40. If you're lucky, some new Nikola Jokic or something, but I doubt in that. So Boston acquired Memphis pick via trade on January 12, 2015. It was the three teams trade with between Boston, Celtics, Memphis Grizzlies, and New Orleans Pelicans. This was the trade that sent forward Jeff Green from the Celtics to the Kings. And 5 years later, we know that in netted Boston lottery pick, which is the good job for Danny. We must say that we are criticizing him, but we must say that he did excellent job in stealing the picks from other teams. Well, just a moment. Top picks of all the time at position number 14. For example, historically, the best picks, the best players that are picked from the position number 14, historically, Clyde Drexler, 1983 by Portland. Tim Hardaway, senior. Tim Hardaway Jr. is playing, I think, basketball today. 1989 by Golden State. Peja Stojakovic, remember him from Sacramento, shooter from Serbia. Dan Meyerly from Phoenix, 1988, one interesting player, one of my favorites from that Phoenix Suns. Michael Cage, Los Angeles Clippers, 84. Now, notable picks, position number 14 for the Celtics. Romeo Langford, 2019, he played the last game. Eric Williams, one of my favorite players, 2002 team that lost from New Jersey Nets later, the finalists of the NBA. Eric Williams is forward. He was drafted position number 14, 1995. Now, last 5 years drafted at position number 14. Romeo Langford, 2019. Michael Porter Jr., 2018 Denver. The disclaimer, Michael Porter Jr. Daniel is the player who is having all-star potential. He's playing great, and he is one of revelations for that Denver team. But he was down to position number 14 because of the red flag, and the teams were afraid that he will not be able to play. So that is why Michael Porter was drafted 2018. Bam Adebayo, 2017 Miami. Bam Adebayo is all-star, one of the franchise players. So they hit the nail. Denzel Valentine, 2016 Chicago. Remember that story, Daniel? Danny Ainge was gonna give a couple of draft picks for that Denzel Valentine. He admitted that. So, but he didn't do it. It's good that he did do it, because it would be a mistake. Cameron Pine was drafted position number 14, 2015 by Oklahoma City. Pick number 26. This is Boston Celtics' own pick, and this is own pick after logging fifth best win percentage in the NBA this season. Top picks of all the times at the position number 26. Vlade Divac, Sacramento, 1989. He was general manager a couple of days ago. He quit. He was fired. Kevin Martin, 2004 Sacramento. George Hill, 2008 San Antonio. He's still playing. He's at the Bucks. We will face him maybe the potential league conference finals. Samuel D'Alembert, 2001 Philadelphia. Team Philadelphia was finalists, and D'Alembert played with Iverson. Team Jerome Williams, 1996 Detroit. Now, Celtics never chose the pick at 26, and the last picks number 26. Dylan Windler from Cleveland, Landry Shamet from Philadelphia, Caleb Swingen, Portland, Furkan Korkmaz, Philadelphia. Furkan Korkmaz playing against us. He was selected, Korkmaz, from Turkey, 2016 by Philadelphia. And Nikola Milutinov, this is interesting player, but he was stashed to you, Daniel, 2015 by San Antonio. Pick number 30. Boston is possessing pick number 30 via Milwaukee and is acquired from Phoenix. Boston acquired pick number 30 during the July 6, 2019 trade of the Phoenix Suns. The trade on July 6, 2019, it sent the center Aaron Baines and the draft right for the guard Tyrone Jerome to Phoenix in exchange for this conditional pick number 30 and the trade player exception. So we still possess, beside the pick number 30th, the traded player exception, Daniel. It was solid job by the Ainge. I hate losing bets, of course. Top picks, number 30 of all the time: Spencer Hayward from Buffalo, Jimmy Butler, Chicago, David Lee, 2005, New York, Nate McMillan, Seattle, 1986, key coach of Indiana right now, Anderson Varejao, Cleveland. He won the title with Cleveland. And notable picks from the Celtics, position number 30th, J.R. Giddens, 2008. Anybody remember J.R. Giddens? Maybe not. Last 5 players drafted by the position number 30th: Kevin Porter, 2019 by Milwaukee, Omari Spellman, Atlanta, Josh Hart, Utah, Damian Jones, Golden State still playing, Kevin Looney, Golden State still playing. Pick number 47 via Brooklyn, acquired from Charlotte. Boston acquired this pick during July 6, 2008 trade with Charlotte Hornets. During that trade, the team acquired Kemba Walker and sent out Terry Rozier. Remember? So Charlotte sent the least favorable of its own 2020th rounders to Boston in that trade. So we are possessing pick number 47 via Brooklyn, acquired from Charlotte. Top picks of all the times, number 47, Paul Millsap, 2006 Utah Jazz, now playing in Denver with Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr. and the others. Mo Williams, Utah, the shooter from Cleveland. Gerald Wilkes, New York, Vernon Maxwell, Alvin Williams, they are not in the NBA. Notable Celtic players and picks from the position number 47 in history: Darren Morningstar, 1992. The Celtics drafted Darren Morningstar, 1992. Ronnie Williams, 1984. He was part of that big Celtics team. Last 5 players drafted 47 pick. So you will get the pick, Daniel, about importance of the pick number 47. Ignas Brazedikis, Sacramento. Sviatoslav Mihalyuk from Los Angeles. Ike Aningbogu, Indiana. Jake Lyman, Orlando. And Arturas Gudaitis from Philadelphia. Arturas Gudaitis from Philadelphia stashed. After breaking my tongue from those picks number 47, then let's break down the teams and the picks. Now listen carefully, ladies and gentlemen. Atlanta possessing number 6 and 50th. Boston possessing number 14, 26, 30, and 47. Boston possessing number 14, 26, 30, 47. Brooklyn possessing 19 and 55th. Charlotte possessing number 3, 32, 56. Chicago number 4 and 44. Cleveland number 5. Dallas number 18 and 31. Denver number 22. Detroit number 7. Golden State Warriors picks number 2, number 48, 51. Indiana pick number 54. Los Angeles Clippers 57. Lakers number 28. Memphis number 40th. Miami number 20. Milwaukee number 24. Minnesota number 1, number 17 and 32. Minnesota is possessing the pick. New Orleans Pelicans number 30, 30, 39, 42 and 60. New York Knicks number 8, number 27 and 38. Oklahoma number 25 and 53. Orlando number 15 and 55. Phoenix number 10. Philadelphia number 21, 34, 36, 49, 58. Philadelphia then having 5 picks, 21, 34, 36, 49, 58. So it will be interesting what they will do with those 5 picks. Portland, number 16 and 46, Sacramento, 4 picks, 12, 35, 43, and 50. Joe Dumars will have interesting summer. San Antonio Spurs, 11 and 41, Toronto, 29 and 50, 29th and 59th pick. Utah 23, Washington number 9 and 7. Houston, Houston Rockets, they doesn't possess the picks. Additional information, updated 2020 cap space projections after this lottery. It will have the impact on the future free agency, Daniel, and the dear viewers. Updated 2020 cap space projections after the lottery. Number 1 in cap space, Atlanta. It could be one of the top free agency destinations that are not signed by the top teams. Atlanta possessing 49 millions, New York possessing 47.7 millions, Detroit 35.4 millions, Miami 26.2 millions, Charlotte 24 millions, Phoenix 23.7 millions. So those 6 teams, Atlanta, Detroit, Miami, Charlotte, Phoenix, they are having the cap space to sign 1 or 2 maximum free agents. I'm still using the latest NBA issued projection of 115 salary cap for the 2020-21 season. It will be probably lower than that because of the COVID issues, but it's anyone's guess right now. So those 6 teams are having cap space. If you ask what Boston is having, nothing. Boston is out of space, and Boston will be the taxpayers the next season. And finally, the information that mentioned, NBA draft may not happen October 16th due to the salary cap uncertainty. The Minnesota Timberwolves won the draft lot, but they might not be making their selection October 16th, as is expected. According to ESPN, there is skepticism among the league executives that the draft will take place as scheduled, partly because it's unclear if the league will be able to formulate a firm salary cap number in time. Without a firm salary cap number, I just said 115 projected before the COVID, so the league cannot conduct business without salary cap projections. If the teams don't know how much cap space they are available, or the things like tax line or the value of the cap exceptions, we have the trade exceptions, for example, that I mentioned. The teams, they don't know how to proceed with the draft moves. The Boston Celtics, for example, our team, they have the 3 picks in the first round, 14. Oh Lord, just one moment. I will return to the text. But the point is, for example, in our case, like we said, the Boston Celtics, they have the 3 picks, number 4, 26, and 30 in the first round, and 4th pick, 47 in the second round, because the first round salaries are predetermined based on the draft slots. The Celtics would need to know how much they are paying a player and how that impacts their tax situation. And reminder, Gordon Hayward has player option to deal with. If Gordon Hayward opts in his 34 million options and the cap drops significantly for 115 projected, the Celtics may have some roster decisions to make. For example, they may need to cut somebody, despite everybody's thinking, oh, well, we will keep this roster. Is that case? Maybe not. Maybe not. Based on the salary cap actions, Danny, the teams in this situation have used draft picks to sweeten salary sheeted deal in the past, so the Celtics may decide to use their picks this way instead of drafting players if the cap number is especially low. from 115 projectedly. Those hypothetical show just a couple of ways how the cap uncertainty could impact to the roster look of the Celtics. Teams will be able to operate in the full knowledge of financial situation. The likely won't know its full financial situation for some times, and the players union has to be on board with that. One widely speculation, Daniel, is saying that the cap will be 109 millions, which is extremely not good for the Celtics, and the same amount at this year. The original projections was 116 million. I was operating in last calculation that I said in 115 millions. But right now, we have rumors, Daniel, that the salary cap for the next year will be 109 million. So that means we will pay more tax and we will have to cut the players to not to be that huge taxpayers the next year. Depending, of course, it will be decided on the playoff run also this year by the Celtics manager. By carrying over this year's number, the league and the union of players would essentially agree 116 millions number. The league and the union of players, they agreed to reverse cap smoothing deal and to distribute the losses over the course of few years down the road. The hope would be that in a few years the league would be back to the normal and making money to help offset that they are borrowing to keep the cap at this level. The teams don't want their best laid plans to go wasted. Years worth of decisions would be flushed down the toilet if cap drop that far. And players don't want their sales to drop, which are tied to big revenue, and it could take a massive hit if the cap goes down. Stars of the league especially want to see their max salaries to drop by multiple millions. Zach Lowe from ESPN noticed there is also incentive to carry the momentum of the bubble into NBA draft October 16. But with so much uncertainty surrounding everything, it's difficult to say how many complicated things get reflected to the league quickly. The league and the union are probably going to have to renegotiate a new collective bargaining agreement, CBA, and after this year, and that never gets done quick. So it's becoming increasingly likely that the draft, free agency, and the season are all going to take place a little further than originally expected. And we were supposed to have the new season, Daniel, by December 16th or something. So it seems like we could wait for January 2021 or later for the season. Anything on my elaboration? Longer than expected, but it was necessary.
Well, I agree with you. You know, we got all those picks that are now coming in our direction in this case, but I truly hope we're not using all those picks in this year's draft if we even have one. I think you can pretty much
It would be
say
extremely stupid. It would be
exactly.
extremely stupid for everything that I said. Excuse me for interrupting. If we draft the four players, like I mentioned, we're in the tax territory. We have decisions to make. We Gordon Hayward. We have Jason Tatum extension. We will be extremely expensive team this day. Kemba Walker maximum. Jalen Brown is 12% less to max. Okay, but Marcus Smart coming to extension again soon. Shemi Ojule out of contract. Enes Kanter out of contract. Couple players out of contract. But if you have those three picks, their salaries are predetermined by draft slots. So if you add more salary and draft 3 first-round picks, Daniel, you are going deep into the text and you cannot extend your own players. I mean, you can, but you will be very, very expensive team in the future. And I'm not sure that Vikely Rusbeck is ready, Daniel, to play like 30, 50 million tax for this team. I still cannot bet the team can enter the NBA Finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I agree, with the fact that, with what you're saying on the tax. I'm simply saying that due to the fact that you got no salary cap whatsoever because all your money is being given to Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, and Gordon Hayward. And ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
sir.
remember that's what you all wanted in this case. You wanted those guys
Yes,
to get max
absolutely.
contracts in this situation, and so you're gonna have no choice but to accept the fact that technically you don't have any cap space to really fill up the rest of the roster. Uh, I hope Danny Ainge is able to pull off some sort
Until
of deal.
Gordon Hayward is with us, at least.
Exactly. If Hayward is with us, which we both expect Hayward to basically opt into that deal of his and try to basically get another year with us where he can try to hopefully prove he can stay healthy because every year something seems to happen to him in this case, and so that's going to drop him significantly in terms of how much money he'll make. But if you can get
According to Keith Smith, sorry for interrupting you again, Gordon Hayward will 90% opt in to his 34 million contracts, and he doesn't care about the implications. Please go on.
Well, yeah, and technically you can say, why would he in this situation? Knowing the fact that technically he's got no, no guarantees after us in that opting in option. No team is guaranteed to want to offer him the type of money he's looking for. Ain't nobody guaranteed basically to go the route of saying, hey, here you are coming, and we'll give you a 5-year deal for the maximum contract. He got that type of benefit with us because he was one of the top players in the league at the time we gave it to him in the situation. Was a consistent player. Now it's a totally different story. So unfortunately, you know, Danny Ainge, in my opinion, has to consider getting something done when it comes to getting more help on the bench. Igor, we've seen pretty much this year's bench, as we saw in game one.
He just interrupt you. Another thing to consider, Dan. Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart. Uh, you will tell me 1 year uh, after the year left, if I'm correct. What does that mean? We all are saying that his heart and the soul of the game. He would want more money, man. He signed a team-friendly deal. So not only the top 4 stars, but Marcus Smart would want more money. And yes, the fans will say Marcus Smart bleed greens. Marcus Smart would want to be paid. And how are you going to give him raise? By going deep into the text, you know. So we are in very difficult situation. I mean, the people are thinking everything are rose in the Celtics land, right? The picks are coming, the finals are, we are not in rosy situations. What we are trying to explain to you, okay, maybe this team will win the title. I am rooting for that. And they will prove us to be wrong. Great, we will admit it. But in my opinion, we need the bench scorer and we need a starting center. I will repeat, many of the Celtics writers that are praising Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice is a good man, but Daniel Tice is not a star, in my opinion. So we need a good bench. I mean, the starting center and the bench scorer. You will not get that in via those picks, in my opinion. You can get that potentially of those 4 picks, one guy can play. But until you develop that guy to play, until you enter that guy to the system, 4 years could pass. Can we wait 4 years? Ask yourself. And Danny Ainge, like I said, uncertainty with the money, uncertainty with the season, new season. We could go into the lockout if the negotiations between the union and the league are stuck. We could go into the lockout. Danny Ainge and the team must decide, okay, we have the core, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Kemba, and Hayward, they will go one after another. Those three will stay. Who else from young guys will stay? Robert Williams, Grant Williams, Romeo Langford. Make your pick. That is the core, 6, 7 guys. So, do I want to compete for the title for real? Not to tell the bull crap to the fans. We believe in title. Okay, great. You believe in title, we don't. If you want to compete with the title, sign the veterans for those empty spots. If you want to sign the veterans, you need money. We don't have the cap space. And the people need to realize that. Why? Because we are having the 4 maximum players. And by committing money to 4 maximum players, like Danny and I trying to explain, that's why we were against Kemba Walker, against giving it to Jaylen Brown. That's why the people shoot a crap at us. And we said, great, you put all Danny Andrew playing Daniel like a crossroads. I have many roads to go, and I will pick later which one I will go. But he has chosen last summer one pet, the young guys. Great. There is no returning, and you put all the eggs into top 5 players, those current top 5 players. If they don't win you the title, then in the next 5 years, you have no choice. And with committing so much money to the 4 players, 80% or more, or salary cap, you are stuck and you cannot improve the bench. Please go on, and sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, well, that's the key thing. That technically, these guys who you're gonna have with these picks, in this case, they may not basically get paid much, but they're still taking something out of your salary cap every summer in this situation. Which Danny Ainge, really can't, say, okay, I'm gonna be able to sign a veteran when yet I gotta give, a certain amount of money to this guy because he's going in the 14th spot, or because he's going in the 6th spot, or he's going in the 30th spot. You're going to have to give, a certain amount of money to those guys based on the rookie scale. And of course, that's another thing that the NBA has to decide. But before the NBA draft itself even takes place, what's each guy going to be allowed to make? What's the maximum in this situation? You know, and you're seeing right now, Igor, we've seen a bench this season that has really only, I guess you could say, 3 veterans on it in this case. You have, Marcus Smart, Eames Cantor, and Brad Wanamaker. Those are the only veterans you really have on this bench. Everybody else is literally a rookie, somebody who needs to basically get some time, and has only needs to get some time to really develop before we can really say, oh, you're going to be one of those key guys, one of those key factors for us each and every year in this case. Um, and if you keep giving all your time and your minutes, and money to these young players, you're not going to be able to fill up your roster with veterans. Right now, all the pressure, ladies and gentlemen, for this season is pretty much on um, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart, especially right now with Gordon Hayward basically out of the mix in this case. Once he returns, and that's if he returns, the pressure will basically go on him as well. But those are the guys who really have all the pressure being put on them. You don't have much pressure being put on Daniel Tice for the most part in this case because he's not the one expected to do all the scoring and all that and leading the team. Same thing could be said about Brad Wanamaker. Same thing could be said about Eames Cantor and the rest of the guys. We saw a good performance, Igor, in game 2 from the bench, but how many times out of the season have we really seen that type of performance where we see them doubling or tripling the amount of points that their counterparts end up scoring? It doesn't happen often. We need a bench that's similar to the ones you see in these big markets that the superstars are playing in. You need to have a bench that's loaded with veteran, players like what we see for the Lakers, what you see for the Clippers, for example. You don't have to have superstar talent on the bench, but similar to what we could say, Igor, similar to what we had with 2008. Eddie House, James Posey, Sam Cassell, P.J. Brown, those guys, Leon Poe, they were all veterans, guys who didn't basically make the
Yeah,
game much.
and about my friends that are writing me, we will win the title this year. It would be exception in the last 40 years data that I'm tracking, and name me the team that won the title with the rookie bench, and I will agree with you that you have the chance to win the title this year. And one more information. I mentioned, Daniel, that the season may be start January. I was wrong because the next NBA season may not start until February due to the salary cap certainty. The NBA's return is going extraordinarily well. The bubble is holding, and basketball has generally been very good. However, behind the scenes, there is growing fear that the league might miss its desired timeline to start the next season sometime in December. According to ESPN, their spokesmen of NBA, the teams are still unclear of what's the next financial situation for the next year. The unclear situation makes planning for the future difficult as the teams don't know if they are over the salary cap on all salary tax thresholds. It also makes things unclear for impending free agency who don't yet know what the market will do. According to the report, it's possible both draft and free agency both to be set for mid-October after the NBA finals. Now we saw that everything will be delayed. The latest news. A delay of that time will push the season, deeper than December as projected. Right now, we are operating with February as potential start of the new season, Daniel. Teams generally have about 3 months from draft night until the start of training camp. Even the most optimistic schedule would still have to allow for negotiating free agents, deals, and trades. So, beginning of the process in November would make it possible to start the next season December 1st. Um, NBA Player Association Executive Director Michael Roberts publicly and privately said that he's skeptical that the league will start before on December 1st. Vogue said sources said the union has privately suggested to the players that the season could start sometimes between January or February latest. Early December start to the next season was always optimistic. No matter how the league handles finances, it seems that it's going to take longer than anticipated. Beyond that, some reports suggest that the collective bargaining agreement would be uh, scrapped altogether, which would add to the delay. The deeper we get into the real long-term impact of the shutdown, the less likely it seems that 2020 will see any NBA basketball after October. Even the smoothest negotiations take time to negotiate, and no negotiations goes perfectly. Even during the civil negotiations, both sides will need time to hammer out new numbers, protocol, etc. And someone gets upset and the discussions drag out. There will likely no negotiations until the comes to the final number from both sides. From there, when we have the final number, from there the both sides, NBA, league, and the Players Association will have to jointly uh, figure out how to proceed. Until then, when the next season will begin, it is in the air from John Carras, and it could be even longer than February. So NBA fans, do not hope for the new season December 1st. That is my advice to you. Comments?
Well, to me, if I was to be honest, Igor, I would. basically scrap the entire season next season altogether. You know, because for one, you want
Yes.
to get back to basically being in a position where, you know, the season can be started on time and basically can finish on time. You know, it's crappy what we're having to deal with right now with, the NBA playoffs taking place right in the middle of people's, summer vacation. It's mixing with the NBA, mixing with the NFL. The hockey, of course, is taking place at the same time. It's better that unless you can get a full season in, don't bother going through with it, period. For that, skip the few, because come on, if you're going to start in December, you're only talking three months: December, January, February. All right, 4 months, March, before the playoffs have to start in April. You know, and you're not going to be able to get all 82 games in for sure during that period because you're chopping off 2 months basically of the season in this case. I don't know how in the world you're going to be able to schedule any all-star break and things like that. All that stuff will probably have to be scrapped as well. And that's of course all-star weekend is one of the big things that fans look forward to in this case. Like you said, Igor, the fact that you won't be able to really know what type of salary cap you're dealing with also means that the trade deadline and all that's going to be difficult as well. And the key thing there, negotiation. The Players Association and the owners are all in the situation for themselves. Each side wants certain things done that will favor their side of the of the battle, and not too much for the opposite side. You think I'm lying, ladies and gentlemen? Look at the negotiations when it came to basically coming back to play basketball right now in the middle of the COVID-19 issue. You know, you had basically people having to agree to certain things being done, whether it was certain safety precautions for COVID-19, whether it was agreements having to be made for Black Lives Matter, and trying to show support for it. If you don't please all these players, Igor, they're willing to basically walk out until you give them what they want. Yes, we see it in the NFL with Colin Kaepernick in this situation. You know, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see it after this summer. If things after this season, we're only a few weeks away from the NBA Finals, obviously. If things are not back to normal, like for example, Igor, December 1st, you're talking less than a month after the presidential election here in the United States. What happens if a lot of these players don't get the president they wanted to have elected, which a majority of them, from the way it sounds, want Joe Biden to be elected over President Trump? What happens if Trump ends up winning in this case? What happens if all this stuff with Black Lives Matter is still going on in this situation? What if COVID-19 is still going on? Are we going to have all these players willing to come back and get back into the bubble for now? Instead of 8 games and then playoffs, now 4 months and then
The
playoffs
whole
after
season.
it? A lot of them is not likely in this situation. You know, a lot of these teams are not going to be, a lot of these players are not going to be willing to basically waste that long being away from their families in arenas where they can't have fans in this situation. So I would scrap it, scrap the whole thing altogether in this case, and just wait until 2021 and start up at the regular start time. That gives you now almost a year to get the negotiations taken care of in this case. Find something, find some sort of common ground with the players and the owners. Find out, if things can be safe and you can get the fans, because obviously, Igor, one of the big things is money. And the fans buying the tickets and going to these games in this situation is pretty much one of the top reasons why the money comes in. If you can't have fans come on to this, gentlemen, fans being on the screen and all that is not basically giving the league any cash out of it, which is why the players had to,
Mhm.
sacrifice some of their money during this season to basically continue, you know. But if you can't get the fans to come back, it's not the same, Igor. Which is why many people say that whoever wins the championship this year, it's not really gonna feel the same. It's not gonna feel like a legit championship. Yeah, everybody's under the same circumstances, so you want it fair and square, but it's not gonna be the same. People can say it. Beating Milwaukee or beating the Lakers or the Clippers or the Raptors, you know, in a neutral site is totally different than beating these teams on their home court. especially in a game 7 when it's all for the marbles and everything's on the line. So just scrap it. Just scrap it. Give all these teams a chance to focus on, because even college, Igor, college basketball has been put on hold for many of these guys who basically were trying to play this year and make themselves look good. How can Danny Ainge and all these other GMs and owners and like scouts really find out what these kids are made of if you're scrapping the college season and then you want them to come for an NBA draft in a few weeks, you know? So scrap it. Scrap it, ladies and gentlemen. I know it would suck in this case having a winter with no NBA basketball, but I'd rather scrap it and make sure everybody can return to the games and the games can be the way we want it than to continue with another season like this where there's just going to be a bunch of total mayhem.
Yeah, EA and sources among the topics discussed on the NBA's Board of Governors call with Adam Silver today, delaying the mid-October NBA draft and the start of the free agents, and possibly time frames for starting the 2020-21 season beyond current date, December 1st. No decisions yet. What I wanted to say, we will see, and we will inform you what will happen from Team Bontemps. Fred Van Vliet banks in a half-court shoot, and of course he's talking about of Toronto. Let's talk a little about Philadelphia run over. Boston run over the Philadelphia 76ers and embarrassing in the game number 2 of the first round playoffs between number 3 Boston Celtics and number 6 Philadelphia 76ers. Daniel, can you give us your numbers? Your numbers, the numbers from the game, the actual numbers of that game from the both sides, and let's discuss what is happening with Boston Celtics and the Sixers.
Okay, so again, game 2 saw the Celtics win 128 to 101. We had on the 76ers side, Joel Embiid scored 34 points in 34 minutes, going 11 of 21 from the floor. He went 0 of 2 from downtown. He had 11 rebounds and 3 assists. Richardson in this case, or Jason Richardson, I forget exactly, but Richardson scored 18 points in 29 minutes. He went 6 of 12 from the floor, including 2 of 3 from downtown, 3 rebounds, 3 assists as the second scorer for them. Then Milton scored 14 points in 29 minutes on 5 of 8 shooting, 2 of 5 from downtown, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Harris scored 13 points in 35 minutes on 4 of 15 shooting, 0 of 2 from downtown, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. And then Thibault, as the fifth starter, scored only 2 points in 25 minutes on 1 of 2 shooting, 0 of 1 from downtown, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. The bench saw Scott score 6 points in 6 minutes, 1 of 3 from the floor, 0 of 1 from downtown with 1 rebound. Nito scored 5 points in 15 minutes on 2 of 5 shooting, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Al Horford scored 4 points in 23 minutes on 2 of 3 shooting. He didn't take any 3-pointers whatsoever. He had 2 rebounds, 0 assists. Then you had Korkmaz, who had 3 points in 16 minutes on 0 of 3 shooting, 0 of 3 from downtown, 1 rebound, 2 assists. So all of his points came from the free throw line. Burks had 2 points in 16 minutes, 1 of 8 from the floor, 0 of 2 from downtown, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And then O'Quinn and Pell both played, with O'Quinn playing 6 minutes, Pell played 7. No points for either one of them. O'Quinn had 1 rebound and 1 assist. while Pell didn't come up with anything whatsoever. No shots taken, no rebounds, no assists. On the Celtics side of things, Jason Tatum scored 33 points as the Celtics' high scorer. Again, just 1 point behind Embiid for the top scorer in the game. But 33 points in 31 minutes for Tatum, 12 of 20 from the floor, including 8 of 12 from downtown. So 75% percent in this case. I believe that is actually 66% in this case, shooting wise. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 22 points for Kemba Walker in 26 minutes, 8 of 16 from the floor, so 50%. 1 of 6 from downtown, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Jaylen Brown was the third highest with 20 points in 28 minutes. He shot 6 of 13, so just over 50% shooting for him. 2 of 7 from the floor, 2 of 7 from downtown, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Marcus Smart, in place of Gordon Hayward, scored 10 points in 30 minutes on 3 of 11 shooting, 1 of 7 from downtown, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Daniel Tice played only 12 minutes. He scored 2 points, went 1 of 5 from the floor, no 3 pointers made. He went 0 for 2, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. The Boston bench, Igor, again was the group that stole the show in this game, as Semi Ojale scored 3 points in 9 minutes, going 1 for 1 from the floor, which was a 3 pointer that he nailed. He had 1 rebound. Grant Williams scored 9 points in 21 minutes, going 2 for 2 from the floor, which he went 2 of 2 from the 3 point area for those shots. 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Enes Kanter was your high scorer off the bench. She scored 10 points in 22 minutes, 4 of 7 from the floor. He had 1 3-pointer nailed. That was a shock. 9 rebounds, 1 assist. Taco Fall played 3 minutes in this game and scored 3 points. He had 1 basket made on 1 attempt, 1 rebound. Robert Williams scored no points, played 7 minutes, went 0 for 1 in the game, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Brad Wanamaker scored 7 points in 23 minutes, 3 of 3 from the floor, 1 for 1 from downtown, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Green, Javante Green, 3 points in 6 minutes on 1 of 2 shooting, 1 of 2 from downtown, 1 rebound, no assist. And then Langford had 6 points in 23 minutes, going 2 of 4 from the floor, 1 of 1 from downtown, 1 rebound, 0 assists. So the Celtics altogether shot 44 of 86, 51.2%, including 19 of 43 from downtown for 44.2%. They had 43 rebounds, out rebounding Philly by four in this case, 43 to 39. They had 20 assists, which Philadelphia came out with 21, so 1 assist more than the Celtics. The Celtics held the 76ers to 33 of 80 shooting, 41.3%, and 5 of 21 from downtown for 23.8. So again, 128-101 for game 2 this past Wednesday night.
I mean, couple of things. Jason Tatum is the best player in the series. What we are saying for years, Daniel. The talent wins. The best player in the series wins, and the team that is deeper and better coached will win the series. Jason Tatum is the best player in the series. Enormous improvement in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're playing on the all-star level. They're on their path to become superstars, and they are the foundation of those Boston Celtics. That's what fans want. That's what the owners wanted. That's our path. And Jason Tatum is justifying since January. He's playing like all-star. He's playing like a Boston Celtics leader. And I was advocating in the first part of the season, Daniel, Jason Tatum to be the leader, not Kemba Walker, because with Jason Tatum, Daniel, we have the higher ceiling as a team than with Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker as a leaders. Um, about Jaylen Brown, again, he's playing better than we expected, you and I. I still, I mean, practically when the Celtics have given him contracts, they didn't have choice, but they could wait until the end of the season. But never mind now. He is playing better than we expected. We must say that, but I still must express my doubts that he can be the second best player on the championship team. He's the great role player, but he's your third or fourth guy. Right now, he is number 2 in this Celtics team. He has taken position number 2, and you noticed that Kemba Walker stepped down. Kemba Walker, um, this is not accident, you know. I do not believe that Kemba Walker just said, I mean, willingly by himself, okay, I mean, this is Tates and Brown team, so I will sit down, I will play the third fiddle. In the first part of season, who was number 1 member before January? Kemba Walker. Now he's number 3. Uh, what is that about? Of course, Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens told him to do that about the shoot selection, obviously. And number 2, many reporters, Daniel, are mentioning that Kemba Walker is not 100% healthy. He had a great game the other night, 22 points. How many assists? 5, 6, whatever. But again, he was not shooting too much. He's in many offensive possessions playing off-ball guard. This is not typical for Walker, and I think that he is a little lower than his usual form. I don't think that he is 100% healthy. I think that he knows that he's a little coasting, but it is obviously the team is prioritizing Tatum and Brown, and that is why they are option number 1 and 2. And that's the way it should be. It's obviously the team has chosen them in number 1 and 2, and it is working. About Gordon Hayward, he was complementary piece number 4, fourth guy at the team. Little too expensive for the fourth guy, but okay, he was the glue guy, and we will miss him. Now, I must address, I mean, usually I'm not paying attention to the people that don't know basketball at all, you know. I don't want to waste time, but I must express my support to Gordon Hayward, Daniel, and I must express my, I mean, I'm stunned with the comments of the Celtics fans after the last win. Yes, we had blowout win, but they started the minute after the second, after the end of the last whistle of the official of the game 2. They started shooting and writing crap at Gordon Hayward. This is not human at first, because the guy is suffering the third or fourth big injury. How much time? So instead of everybody support Gordon Hayward, now we're going to shoot at him because he's having maximum contract. Imagine that. I'm asking to those idiots, first of all, who is paying maximum contract for Gordon Hayward? Are you paying from your money and you're concerned about it? No, because Vic Grusbeck, Steve Palu, and the ownership team, they're paying for Gordon Hayward's maximum money. So do not give me that crap. I'm concerned about Gordon Hayward. He should return his money. Really? The guy caught the form. The guy found his role. And he is very important. I said he's the best playmaker of the team. Jason Tatum is becoming this good player because he's running pick and roll as a ball handler, but he still has to improve. The best ball handler, pick and roll, um, is not Kemba Walker. In my modest opinion, this is Gordon Hayward. If you ask me who I'm going to put the ball on the last possession, of course, Jason Tatum, but uh, Gordon Hayward is carrying the ball on the opponent's half of the court. So, what I'm trying to say, the loss of Hayward is big hurt for us. Yes, we didn't miss him this game, but this was partly because Philadelphia 76ers are one horrible excuse for the basketball team, and Brett Brown is looking like the first Trump. I mean, the first person who was caught by Philadelphia 76ers on the street, and they told him for the game, well, you can coach the team, and he said, okay, and he's coaching the team like he's coaching the team for the time ever. You know, he's horrible. He should be fired, not after the end of the series. He should be fired right now. But that's Philadelphia's business, you know. Returning to Boston's business, um, we were witnessed that the second unit consists of Jason Tatum as the lead, then Romeo Langford, Brad Wanamaker, Grant Williams, Cantor. They entered the game with -8, if I'm correct, and they turned the game into +5. Great. We didn't see it coming. We didn't expect it. And I don't think this is sustainable, especially against Toronto. Toronto is well-coached team, deep team, the team that is leading 3-0 against the Nets, the team that is going to sweep the Nets and not waste any players. They don't have any injuries, and they're healthy 100%, and they will have the time to rest till the second round. In that series, we will miss Gordon Hayward. We are 6 or 7 deep team at best about the players that are ready to participate and give us something in the playoffs. By losing your fourth guy and possibly the best ball handler of the team and the glue guy and the guy that is having probably the best mid-range shoot with Kemba Walker, the team, which is important against some defenses, you are losing one of the key pieces. And Boston's bench is thin as a paper, Daniel. And if our bench unit is giving us what they gave us at the game number 2, we would not miss Gordon Hayward. We will win the title if our bench is that good. But would you put $10 into bet, Daniel, that Boston Celtics bench without Gordon Hayward will outscore the opposition bench in every other game in the playoffs? I would not put 50 cents on that bet. Call me a hater, but I would not put 50 cents on that. Returning to Gordon Hayward, many that claimed we are better with Gordon Hayward. Well, ladies and gentlemen, great. Let us see that claim against Toronto. If we defeat Toronto without Gordon Hayward, then we didn't miss him, and maybe we should get rid of him. But I think that this situation will be different than the Celtics fans, majority of them, expect against Toronto. Rookies cannot play against Toronto. Daniel, your comments?
Well, I think one thing that people gotta keep in mind, Igor, um, is the fact that you have, how would you say in this case, you got no Ben Simmons, for Philadelphia. Ben Simmons was the most critical player on that 76ers team when it comes to playing against the Boston Celtics. Why? Because he was the defensive playmaker, the one who had the responsibility of stopping Jason Tatum. Now, again, call us haters, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, all you want, but the stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie in this situation. And the numbers
Mm.
prove that when Jason Tatum does play against Ben Simmons and Ben Simmons is guarding him, Jason
He is
Tatum's
shooting
number
31% from the.
exactly. Jason Tatum does not perform as good when he's being defended by Simmons as he does when he's being defended by the other guys on the 76ers squad.
And to stop you, we will see Jason Tatum when he is guarded by OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and the Toronto Raptors wings, and especially when he's down low by their centers, Margasol, Serge Ibaka. We will see how good Jason Tatum is in the next series. Again, Philadelphia is not meant for anything. It's great that we're having the series, but this is just like warm series for us. Please go on.
Yeah, but I'm simply saying, look at game one. You managed to win game. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Why in the world did some of these guys on our bench? Why is it that they didn't play as good as they did? Uh, why is it they didn't play as good as they did in the in game one as they did in game two? Think about it, Igor. Game two, you played
Mm-hmm.
excellent in this situation, and that was the
Mm-hmm.
truth. You played excellent, but what was the difference between game two and game one? That's the real question. What was the difference between game two and game one that made it where in game one you played like absolute dog crap, and then in game two you played like a playoff caliber team in this situation? You know, the whole situation in this case is the fact that technically you were in a position where, you know, you had to take a step up. But Gordon Hayward, Igor, played in game one, and think about the guys who stepped up in game two. Eames Cantor, Grant Williams, Brad Wanamaker. Same guys that played in game one with Gordon Hayward still there. Why in the world is it you couldn't play like that in game one when he was around compared to game two? I can understand people saying, okay, you know, maybe the points for Langford, points for Gerald, for Javante Green, Time Lord, Taco Fall. Maybe those points don't come if Gordon Hayward is playing. Obviously,
Or the.
a majority of the minutes is basically going to be given between the star players of the team. But the guys who do get to play every game, like Cantor, like Wanamaker, like Marcus Smart in this case,
Mm-hmm.
there was no excuse not to be able to play as good as you did in game two back in game one, just because Gordon Hayward was playing. Ladies and gentlemen, as much as you all might hate the situation, the truth remains that Gordon Hayward is the best fourth man in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, go and take a look at the teams that have
Yes.
four stars or four superstars in this case.
Mm-hmm.
The only other
Mm-hmm.
team that had four superstars, Igor, or four stars on it was the Golden State Warriors last year until Durant basically ditched them. Now they
Mm-hmm.
have three, Thompson, Curry, and Draymond Green in this case. No other team has four all-star caliber players on their team like the Boston Celtics do. But many people will tell you,
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Hayward,
Yes. Yes.
compare
Yes.
him as the fourth man on this team because we know Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. They're all ahead of him in the pecking order. Whichever one comes first, second, or third, it all depends on the person who's giving the info. But Gordon Hayward is clearly the fourth guy on this team. Compare him to the fourth best player on some of the other teams around the league, and you cannot say that Gordon Hayward isn't better than them in this situation. You know,
Mhm.
Gordon Hayward is, only issue, ladies and gentlemen, with Hayward is that he just can't stay healthy. That's really it. But when he
Mhm.
is healthy and he's in a zone, he's fine. Heck, Igor, we wouldn't be the third seed right now in the Eastern Conference if Gordon Hayward hadn't been playing for us this year
Absolutely.
because he had some big performances in some big moments during the season in this case. You know, so people gotta, accept the fact that something's gotta give here. Now, like you said, if the team does play better and and manages to get by Toronto, then maybe you can say, okay, maybe you don't need a fourth guy who's making a max contract. Maybe you can take the max contract and try to split it
Yes.
over some bench help. You can make that type of argument in this case, but there ain't no way you can be saying Gordon Hayward is a crappy player or he's a garbage player or something like that because Gordon Hayward offensively is better than everybody else on this Celtic team not named Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, or Jalen Brown. It's as simple as that in this case.
Romeo Langford draft.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, Igor. It's unfortunate because of the fact that he basically can't stay healthy, which is why he doesn't deserve a max contract. Obviously, in this case, because obviously, if you can't stay healthy, we need to find somebody who can replace you in this situation. So I'm hoping he does take a pay cut. Obviously, you and me, we put that article up in the group itself where Gordon Hayward did have some words to say to people interviewing him about the potential of him leaving the Celtics to go be with his wife. You and me have been reporting on this for like about 2 weeks now. In this case, um, and he's discussed the possibility of him now hoping he can leave to be with his wife. They said the baby is scheduled to be born at some point next month. So he's hoping at some point it can be that he can be with his wife and the baby will come during the 4 week period that he's basically out with his injury. So like that, once he's cleared, he can come back straight to the bubble and get right back with the team at that point. Obviously, ain't nobody that can control Igor when his wife is going to give birth in this situation. Not even his wife herself. But hopefully, that's what I should say that's what he's hoping, that she will give birth during the 4 week period. So like that, once he's back to normal, he can come back to the bubble and be back with the team. But you gotta be somebody who's really disrespectful in this case to really be trying to say that Gordon Hayward is a trash player and basically we don't need him. Like I said, Igor, this his injury,
You
Igor.
need a therapy, man. You need a therapy because it started with Kyrie Irving. We are better without Kyrie Irving. Crap. We are better without Al Horford. Crap. Now it is we are better without Gordon Hayward. Crap. And did you notice the pattern? They hate the old, I mean, veterans, and they are hating those Boston Celtics group of fans. I don't want to call out uh, all of Boston Celtics fans because I know that majority of the fans are normal. They know basketball and they're civilized people. I mean, I want to say that uh, it they are hating the veterans. They are hating the and they want the young guys. I don't know who planted that crap idea that you can win the title with young guys, or uh, this is like for them experiment. Those fans, they don't want championship. They want to have fun. They want, like I said, um, they want to watch the young players. They are not too concerned about winning the title. Celtics don't win the title, never mind. We watched the good basketball. We had fun. We watched development of young players. So they are those type of fans. I'm calling them the developers of the young talents, guys. You and I want rings and only rings. And for us, more young players, meaning more years without rings in Boston, at least in basketball. So to conclude, we need a veteran to win the title, be it or not. I know that the Celtics fans believe that with rookies and second-year players on the bench, they can win the title. Great, prove us wrong, but we don't. You and I don't believe in that. Nothing changed my mind about the Boston. I didn't have them coming out the Eastern Conference before the bubble. I didn't have them coming out the West and I don't have them coming out of the East now. I know that the people are saying that Milwaukee is bad, Milwaukee is not playing good, Toronto is nothing special, Miami is weak, and we are running. I mean, are you watching basketball, people? Are you really watching like Milwaukee, Toronto, Miami? Come on. I mean, you cannot be those, so big homers and to be just ignorant about every single other team than Boston Celtics. You must be watching some other team, man. You must be watching and you must be paying attention to your competition at least. So to conclude, more young players, more picks, Daniel, for me, meaning more years without title. Will give number of. I could not care less about everything else if the Lakers surpass us in the title. And also one observation: did you notice, Daniel, that those kind of fans they are postponing the championship window deep into the future. 2013, we said 2019 we will be contenders. 2019, we said, okay, 2021, 2022, we will win the title. Okay, they are hoping this year to win the title. But if we don't win at all, they will return to that story, Daniel. We must wait until Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are 27 and 28 years old. That means like we must wait until 2025, 26 to potentially be the contenders. And if we are not contenders by 2025, 26, well, just draft some guys and develop them the next 10 years. This is how the Celtics fans view Boston Celtics goals and basketball.
Okay.
Horrible. One word for will be banned from watching and talking about basketball for life. That's all I have to say. Please go on.
Okay. Well, we have a couple of news items to bring out.
Go.
Javante Green has been downgraded to out for today's game with a sprained right knee. So the Celtics will not have Javante Green or Gordon Hayward for today's game three, which is just over an hour from now in this case. Um, Obviously, Igor, you just mentioned in your post the Los Angeles Lakers. We have news. their opponent, the Portland Trail Blazers, Zach Collins, is going to require season-ending ankle surgery. So the
Oh,
Trailblazers just lost Zach Collins, so that series looks like is about to go in the these guys' favor, the Lakers' favor.
of course.
And we also have word. Looking for the post here. Um, that we could potentially have one of the Celtics owners selling, I guess, their part of the team, their share in the team itself.
Mm.
Um,
If you can
all right,
find
here
it,
it is.
please say
Here
it
it
and
is.
share it on our
So
page, because this
Jim
is very interesting.
Jim Palumbo.
And just to say, Portland 1-1 series will continue without Collins, as you said, Trevor Ariza, Rodney Hood, and Nasir Little. So Portland Zach Collins will require season-ending surgery, according to Woj. This is horrible news for Portland, but here it is. Please go on, Danny.
Yeah, so it's Jim Pelota is selling his minority share of the Boston Celtics. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, we all know
Okay.
we all know who the majority owner is in this case. That's why Wick always has like the top say. But interesting to see that one of the other owners is basically looking like he's done with the team for some reason. But like you said, Igor, that's one issue that you and me have basically complained about the fact that fans continue to be willing to say we're willing to push the chase for an NBA championship to next year, the year after, the year after, the year after.
And the next year, 4 or 5 next years, and after the year further, and even further, and we're rebuilding 7 years. Did you notice? So, and finally, Danny, finally, after 20 years or 10 years, we will win the title. We will eventually win the title.
Yeah,
I believe in that. But
yeah,
the Lakers will be 3 or 5 titles away from us, because they are going to form the super team in 2022. You
yeah,
have the rumors about 4 all-star players.
yeah.
So
But of
if
course,
we don't change our policy, if we don't change our mindset, there is no bright future for us. That's my point. Please go on.
yeah. But of course, for you and me, we're willing to say this. Okay, you want to basically say that you don't you're willing to wait, you're willing to do like a full rebuild in order to become a championship contender. Fine, just don't be going the route of trying to treat these guys like they're
Ask Philadelphia. Ask. Sorry for interrupting. Ask Philadelphia and their process, Sam Kinky. Ask Philadelphia, can you build the contender via draft? I see that they are going super, right?
yeah, you know. So you and me are simply saying in this case, you want to accept in this situation waiting 4, 5, 6, 7 years to get back to an NBA championship. Fine, but don't be going the route of basically putting these guys on a pedestal, acting like we have the next, with acting like with Tatum and Brown and Kemba,
Hall of Famers, the new Bird,
we now have the
Michael
big three.
Jordan, the new LeBron James.
Exactly. Think about it, Igor. Nobody gave Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen 4, 5, or 6 years to basically go
Nope,
the route of getting a championship
nope.
before they were willing to, before they
They
were
were
willing to
they were
say
saying you have like 2 or 3 years window, and that's it.
exactly. But like I said, I'm simply saying that very first year that they came, you was expecting them to be available and to get the job done. In this case, you
To
weren't
be
saying,
contenders and
"Oh,
to win the title.
exactly."
Exactly,
You
and
you
what
weren't
they did.
saying, "Hey, it's only your first year, guys. Let's give them a break and let's let them develop with each other and get some chemistry with each other. If they don't win this year, we'll just wait for next year." No, if they would have lost back in 2008, all you people would have been criticizing them for failing to get the job done. So right now you're putting Tatum, Brown, and Kemba on the same type of pedestal that you were willing to put that you all put Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo on back then. Yet the pressure is not the same. What? Because they're younger. So basically, okay, I can understand the fact that you're trying to say these guys have a longer time to be in the league. So there's, their window of opportunity is longer. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're willing to go the route of saying that they're already on that level, then why the heck is it that you basically can't accept somebody saying, so then they gotta win now? If I had to say Garnett and them had to win now back in 2008, then why in the world can't you say, fairly,
Yeah,
these guys
yeah.
have to win
The
now in this case?
the Celtics fans, they insulted when somebody like you and me are telling them that we should put some expectations on these guys. You know, for them, our guys top four should pay maximum money, which is not their money, of course. You know, and it's easy to say pay those guys somebody else's money, you know, maximum money, um, and they don't want those guys to have any kind of goal ahead them, you know, any kind of opportunity, I mean expectations. They just want to to be like a recreational team, you know. They're obviously viewing both Celtics and at recreational team. Um, and it will be really interesting, Daniel, the reaction of those Celtics fans that said uh, we can win it all this season. Great, but I want you to stay by your words. If we don't win anything this year and you expect it from this team to win something this year, then say it the season is failure. Be a man. You know, for us, we said what are our expectations and what will be the failing season for us, right? But from the other side, it was never clearly said, clearly said uh, what are the expectations, what are the criteria for successful season. It is fluctuating, you know, um, based on what do they need, based on what do they need in that kind of moment. They will find, the Boston Celtics fans, the perfect excuse for the bad season. You know, the last season it was Kyrie. It's his fault. Full stop. We go on, right?
Exactly. So that's all
This
we'll
is
say.
this is not good.
Exactly.
This is really not good.
So that's why I
Again,
say, Igor, in my opinion, Gordon Hayward, I hate to lose him because I feel he was critical for this team's chances of winning a championship. But I
of
also
course,
have
of
some sort of
course.
happiness over him going down because now everything basically, the stage is set, as I said in the group. The stage is
Hmm.
set, ladies and gentlemen, for all you people that want to put Tatum and Brown already on the pedestal alongside LeBron James, alongside Kawhi Leonard, alongside Kevin Durant. Now is the time for them to prove. Now is a golden opportunity. Let's just say it like that. Golden opportunity for them to show that you've been right all along and me and Igor are wrong in this case. You think I'm lying?
Absolutely.
You think I'm wrong with the pressure?
Defeat Milwaukee.
Exactly.
Defeat Milwaukee in the
Exactly.
Eastern Conference Finals.
How many times, Igor, did LeBron James get to the NBA Finals with a team that
All by
had
himself,
exactly.
all from 2010 until 2019, and he is the top five player of all the time. So, if you want the criteria for those which are saying that Tatum is top 5 player league, superstar. Bring the Celtics into the finals. You're the top 10 players, right?
Exactly. If you guys feel that that these guys are just as good as LeBron James, then you should be able to do everything LeBron James has done when it comes to a championship, run in this situation. You don't have to win the whole thing, but at least get to the NBA Finals or at least give a good fight in the Eastern Conference Final. You can't lose in round one, and you definitely can't lose in round two to the Toronto Raptors if you're saying you got two players who are on the level of LeBron James and the other top guys in this league in this case. So this is their chance to prove it. If you fail this round or you fail next round, then it stays where we've said it. They're all-star caliber players who are on the up and coming, but are not yet at that level that you can say they deserve all the foul calls, that they basically have deserved all the media attention, all the commercial attention and things like that. You know that goes
And by
only
the way,
to
to tell
a
you
select
to
few
tell you the
players.
truth, to tell you the truth, we can talk about it. We have time a little. National media, they are still totally cold and ignorant towards Jason Tatum. And look at Nick's comment that you posted. We will discuss on our show. Look at his comments and the comments from Zach Lowe. I mean, Kevin O'Connor praised Tatum, of course, but he's not top national guys. I mean, there are other players up and coming uh, candidates for the top 15 players and to be all stars, all NBA players, superstars, whatever you want to call them. Donovan Mitchell, then PJ Warren, then David Booker. The, Donovan Mitchell scores two men, Luka Doncic. You know, and of course that we all love have such a young star, but there are other players, and who is going to? At this point, Luka Doncic is the best young player in the NBA. Sorry to have to say that. And Nick Wright said that he still would not put Jason Tatum over Donovan Mitchell. This is a question mark, but
Well,
um,
you can almost
the
agree with
things are
that.
not looking that rosy like the Celtics fans
Well,
think. Please
well,
go on.
well, you can almost agree with it, Igor. Because think about it. Tatum's got Kemba Walker. Tatum's got Jaylen Brown. And of course, Gordon Hayward when Hayward is healthy. Three other All Stars who can basically keep the pressure off him. Donovan Mitchell is the one legit star on that team of his, and so all the pressure is on him. Look at the Portland Trailblazers with Lillard. Yeah, he's got C.J. McCollum, so he's got one other legit player, but he's the one and only true number one player, true star. You just mentioned Doncic, same thing, one star, and then a few, and that's really it. How many,
Yeah, and I
easily,
will I will always say about Doncic. Remember that we were interested. Danny Ainge was interested to trade up at the draft, but he decided to keep Jaylen Brown and not to trade um, Jaylen Brown in order to get the pick and draft Luka Doncic at position number 5, if I'm correct.
yeah,
So
but I'm saying,
imagine if he traded Jaylen Brown for Luka Doncic,
yeah,
what would be? But
yeah. So
never mind now,
I'm just saying
right?
though, ladies and gentlemen, put Tatum on a team similar to those teams that those guys are on, and he's the number one. Do you
Mm-hmm.
still feel that Tatum is capable of putting
Absolutely.
40, 50, 60, even 70 points on a nightly basis like the way these guys are doing because they know they have to score big time performances for their teams to have a chance. Tatum, there's some games where he could basically lay an egg, Igor, and score nothing, and the Celtics will still win because they got Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, and Gordon Hayward to pick up the slack. You know, So those guys will get to the superstar status before Tatum does because they're having to do it as a one-man wrecking crew, which is why I say put the guys with the LeBron James test. LeBron James had to be the one-man wrecking crew in Cleveland before he went to Miami. In this case, he never won a
Absolutely.
championship during that period, but he still made runs. That was the key. Of course, we came in
2000,
with our big three and kind of stopped it.
am I correct? He was at least at Eastern Conference finals before 2008.
Yeah, I
I
believe
mean,
I
he
believe
lost from
one
the
year.
Celtics.
Yeah, one year I believe when he lost to the Pistons in this case, if I'm right, in this
To the
situation,
Pistons, right,
you know.
right.
But I'm
So
simply saying that right there tells
he
you something.
showed potential in the early ages, right?
Exactly. Carrying the team, taking us to game 7 with a completely crappy bench and a crappy, rest of starting lineup versus a Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen led Big Three Celtics in this situation, a championship team. And it
Absolutely.
took a big time performance by Paul Pierce, obviously, for you to get by him at that point. You know, so people put Tatum in that same position as LeBron James back then. If you feel Tatum basically can get the job done and still do the same things LeBron was doing with those same type of rosters, then fine. He's a superstar. But if you are not 100% certain and there's some doubt in your mind, then you can't be putting him on the same pedestal. At least not right now.
Yeah, it is unbelievable that the people are laughing at you right now and call you hater and names if you say that Tatum is not a top 10 player. One fan even told me, Daniel, quote, um, he is struggling to find the 10 players that are better than Jason Tatum right now. Uh, this is really laughable, This is really laughable. You don't have to be such a homer to be Boston Celtics fan. Uh, you will cause only laughing from other NBA fans. Uh, defend your team, of course, everywhere, but try to be a little objective. And if you criticize something that is happening in Boston, it doesn't mean that you're a bad fan. It means that you are wishing well to your team and your franchise. And the critique like Daniel and I are doing can only help to the fans, at least to accept the reality, right?
Well, think about it, Igor. Just naming a few. That you got LeBron, you got Kawhi, you got Durant, you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, you got Damian Lillard, you got Luka Doncic in this case. As you just
Nikola Jokic.
well, Jokic, yeah, you can make the argument that he's ahead of him at this point. You can make the argument. There was another name I had there in the
Kawhi Leonard, Paul
yeah
George,
uh yeah but I believe I already mentioned Kawhi. But there's several guys in this case that you can say they're ahead of you because
and we are not talking about Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant neither, because not playing.
well, Durant, we put him because obviously he's already up there. Kyrie, it can be an argument in this
Yes,
situation for some
yes.
people, because you never know if Kyrie's head is truly in the game or not. But like I said, the top guys, the top 5 in this league are LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin
James Harden,
Durant, James Harden, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those are your 5 right
absolutely.
there in this case. After that, it comes down to the guys who are like the top guys running their teams.
Kawhi
Like
Leonard,
Doncic,
Paul George,
you
Nikola
know,
Jokic,
yeah.
Luka
So,
Doncic.
so
We
there's
must put them in
exactly. So there's
top
several
10.
guys.
He is ahead of everybody, Luka Doncic, from the young guys, right?
Yeah. So there's several guys that can basically be put ahead of Jason Tatum. Now we're not saying Jason Tatum's is like say 25th or below, ladies and gentlemen. He is
Oh,
definitely in the let's say the
probably
top
top
20,
15 guy
top
right
15,
now.
top
And
20.
Damian Lillard ahead of Jason Tatum. So those are top 10.
Yeah.
We just mentioned top 10. And from there, like you said, we can say that Jason Tatum better than Ken Walker, obviously, right now. Jason Tatum better than some of the guys between 11 and 15, but come on. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it.
so we're just simply saying, he's not in the top 10. The top 10 goes to the guys who are
Nope.
the ones who you see getting all the attention, the ones that get all the calls, the ones who be getting all the commercials and the movie opportunities, the ones that pretty much are
Right.
the main. Because think about it, Igor. You and me did not put Anthony Davis in that top 10, even though he plays for the
No.
Lakers. And that's because he doesn't
Nope.
deserve to be in the top 10. He played on another team
Nope.
where he was the man, and his team sucked pretty much. So you proved you can't
Yeah.
be a number one on a team in this situation and carry your team the distance without any help. So he doesn't belong in the top 10 in this
Mm-hmm.
situation. LeBron does because he's done it.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi does because he's done it in this situation. James Harden has carried the
Mm-hmm.
Houston Rockets during his tenure there in this case. Kevin Durant is the number one player in this situation, because he's made it to the finals in this situation while being the number one guy on his team. Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, they've never made the NBA finals, but they put up numbers where if they ain't there, their teams don't even sniff the playoffs in this case without them. But get rid of Jason Tatum and just keep Kemba, just keep Hayward, and just keep Brown, and the Celtics are still going to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference in this case. Now, whether they're top four or not is a different story, but they're still able to make it. Those guys, on the other hand, are too critical to their teams. Where you lose them, they don't even sniff the playoffs. They're more of a lottery bound
Yep.
team in this situation, and that's the truth in this case. And that's all we're saying in this situation. You
I
people
can
got to
I can
remember
agree that
those.
we can make argument that Jason Tatum is uh, number top 15 player.
Yeah,
Depends on criteria. You
yeah,
mentioned Anthony Davis there, Donovan Mitchell, Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, some other guys there. Like Chris Middleton, of course. Uh, the second, Pascal Siakam. So you can make arguments for Calori for those guys to be between number 11 and 15, including Jason Tatum. But for top 10, absolutely no. And to finish with, there is official list. Again, I can have my opinion. You can have your opinion. John from John Smith from Boston can have his opinion. Who is the top five in the top five? Who is top 10? But it doesn't matter because NBA is having all NBA teams. The fans are voting, the coaches and experts, journalists, they're voting for all NBA teams, all star teams. Everything revolves around those two selections. Top five players are official members of the first all NBA team. Top 10 players are officially members of first and second all NBA team. Top 15 players are officially members of first, second, and third all NBA team. I don't know how many times we should, um, say it before the fans memorize it. Based on those selections, you got contracts, Daniel, and money and marketing. Everything revolves. You can have your opinion that Tatum is the best in the world, but you can put that sign at your room and be happy with it, nothing else. But when something is official, then something is official. You have MVP of regular season, you have MVP of the finals, defensive team, defensive player award. Everything revolves around those selections. And if you disagree with those selections, it is okay. But you cannot say that your opinion is better than opinion of the journalists, of the analysts, of the experts, and majority of the fans. Then you're not normal. That's all I can say, right?
Yeah, so uh, we do get cut off, ladies and gentlemen, we'll edit the video. But Keith Smith is saying fair warning to Celtic fans who are hoping to see Boston go up 3-0 tonight. Scott Foster is one of tonight's officials.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Certainly. So, Daniel, this is danger number one for Boston Celtics tonight. So maybe we can expect Philadelphia to win that game. And do not be upset we lose that game, Boston Celtics fans. And I'm going live to do live play-by-play in about 40 minutes or so. And Daniel, it was enormously fun to do that chat. I think that we covered a lot. We were talking about future of the league. Daniel will edit the chat, and I hope that you love this kind of video. We will work to improve our program for you in every sense. We improved the picture, and I hope the tune. And we will have better chats. And a reminder, Danny, about what you said. In 2018, the Celtics were up 3-0, and Scott Foster had been assigned to 0 of the games. And guess who worked the game for? Yes, Scott Foster and Tony Brothers. Celtics had 28 fouls, and the Sixers won their only game of the series. Guess who is working tonight's game when the Sixers are 0-2? 0-2. I don't have information. Is the second official Tony Brothers? But if that is the case, Daniel, this is the worst possible nation on the world for Boston Celtics, and be very afraid, the Celtics fans, about this game, not the Sixers, right?
So let's see. I can get the information here quickly. So Scott Foster, Sean Wright, and Courtney Kirkland will be our officials today.
Okay, no Tony Brothers. That's a little relief, but I'm sure the Sixers will have 15 plus in the free throw department. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the show will be up as soon as it is possible. I hope that the Celtics will go 3-0 despite everything. And I think that the series are over. Like I said, Brett Brown is horrible coach. He should be fired, and he will be fired for the series, I'm sure. And Philadelphia has only about quarter and a half good fight in them, in my opinion. But maybe they discovered some poison, Daniel. Maybe we will see the revelation of resurrection, to tell that way, of Philadelphia 76 tonight. But if the Celtics go 3-0, we can say the series is over. I don't want to sound like Paul Pierce, who said the last year after 1-0 against Milwaukee Bucks, the series is over. But I think that this series is over, Daniel, after game 2. That's it.
Well, I agree with you. If we win today, it's definitely over. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends in a sweep because you will definitely have shattered the spirits of the 76ers, especially if you win tonight in convincing fashion like you did in game 2.
That was your chat 53rd. I hope that we informed you. Our show is tomorrow, Saturday, 22nd. You will watch this chat tomorrow. You will have also a show with great guests, and we will try to provide you more good program. I hope that you loved our Zoom chat, and we certainly love the opportunity that the Zoom chat is allowing us. Daniel, that would be all. And your final words?
Again, ladies and gentlemen, so join us in the Weebly Green Celtics group. Igor will have your play-by-play coverage for Game 3, starting at a little after 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, we're about a little over half an hour away, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, on the Blog Talk Radio website for Celtics Talk Radio show as we recap Game 3.
Find us Weebly Green Celtics Fans Forum, Celtics Talk Radio, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Apple, iTunes. And thanks for listening us and watching us and supporting us. Thanks for hating us, for spitting at us. We love you all. Have a night and go Celtics. Go, sweep the Sixers. Cut.